Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to Full Monty Coding. This is your boy Charles getting back after it again with some coding. If you want to learn more coding techniques, be sure to hit that subscribe button and let's get after it. In this video, we're going to go over a basic overview of data frames and series. So let's go ahead and head on over to your favorite code editor and let's go ahead and get started. Okay, we're back here with our code editor, Replit, found at replit.com. And we're going to go over a basic overview of data frames and series. So what is a data frame? Well, data frames are data displayed in table-like format with rows and columns similar to like what you see in CSV files. And programmers can use this in their data analysis code. And a series is a one-dimensional labeled array, meaning it only has like one column with multiple rows that have labeled index and data points. A bunch of these series put together that share the same index, it makes the data frame. Let's go ahead and create a series. But first, when we create a series or data frame, we need to import our pandas package, which the pandas package is a data analysis toolkit that works with relational or labeled data. And we'll go ahead and import pandas as PD. And we'll also import our NumPy, which stands for numerical Python, which is a Python library that works with arrays, and it's a fundamental package that you use for scientific computing. And we'll name it NP. Now we're going to create a couple of lists and dictionaries that we're going to use for our data that we can input for our series. So we'll call one of our lists labels, and another list data, and our dictionary. And inside our lists labels, we're going to put in some countries. We'll put in USA, Mexico, Brazil, and India. These countries have states similar to the US. So in our data, we're going to put in the number of states that these countries have. So 50, 31, 26, and 28. And for our dictionary, we're just going to put in our key value pairs. So we'll say USA has 50 states. Mexico has 31. Brazil 26, and India has 28. Now to put lists in an array, we'll just create a variable and call our NumPy, and we'll use the array function and pass in whatever we want. We could pass in data, we could pass in the labels, any of the lists that we want. And we're going to go ahead and print these out. Okay, I printed out the data in array first because I want to show you the difference between the data in array and how it's displayed in the console. So you can see the difference in the arrays and lists. The lists are separated by commas, but normally when we're working with data frames or any type of data analysis, we want to work with arrays because it has its advantages. It uses less memory, especially when you're working with large amounts of data. So I'm going to go ahead and take this out. Now to make a series we use pandas. So we're going to call pd.series, and series is capitalized. And within series it has multiple parameters, and here are the parameters that we can pass. So let's go ahead and pass data, and we're just going to use our first one, data, and let's wrap this in a print so we could display it. And here's our series with our data in rows by the index. Now let's specify the index. We can specify it by putting in index parameter and putting in our labels. Let's go ahead and run it. And now you see our index is now labeled with our countries. And we can also change our data, and we'll just use our array. Gives us the same thing, but what if we want to put in labels and then our array over here? We could still do that. So now it just gives our number of states with our country. So it all depends on how you want to label your index. We can also use our dictionary called PD series, and we can pass in our dictionary. And what this does is we get our series, which takes our keys and sets it in the index and our values to the data point of the key. Let's go ahead and name this series. Give it a variable name. If you want to learn more about dictionaries, you could check out this link to one of my other videos that goes over dictionaries. Let's go ahead and run this one. And we're going to use bracket notation to call our key. Let's wrap this one in a print. Run it. And from our key, we got our value. I'm going to go ahead and comment all this out. So let's move on to creating a data frame. But we're going to import another library from NumPy. So from numpy.random, so we can generate some random numbers, and we're going to import randint. So we're going to generate some reproducible random numbers for sampling using seed. So let's call numpy.random.seed, and I'm going to use seed 123. You can use any seed you want, but if you're using a different seed, you're probably going to get different numbers. Now let's create a variable for our data frame. We'll set that equal to pd.dataframe, and we can pass in our whatever data that you're trying to use. Right now we're going to generate some random numbers. So randint, and here this is where we're going to create our data frame. So we'll go 2 rows and 4 columns. And now we need to pass in our index, which is the rows. We'll do 1 and 2, and then our columns, which we'll call A, B, C, and D. Let's print our data frame out. And here's our data frame with 2 rows and 4 columns, A, B, C, and D, with our random numbers generated within there. We can also add more data. So let's say we want 4 rows and 5 columns. And then we need to add 4 rows in here. And then we'll add our last column. Now we run it. Now we have 4 rows and A, B, C, D, and E columns. And as you can see, we have the same numbers that populated. We can select specific columns using our bracket notation, DF, and to put in a list, we have to add a list in there. So let's call column A and column E. Let's wrap this in a print. Run it. And here is our columns. So we have column A here and column E. So it's not displaying B, C, or D. And we can select the rows by using the location method here and pass in our location, which is on our rows. So we have 1, 2, or 3. We could call either 1, 2, or 3. So let's go ahead and just call number 2. Let's wrap this in a print. Let's run it. And since we only called 1 column, it's going to return a series because it's only one portion of information. So here's our columns. That would be A, B, C, D, and E, and it's displayed with our rows as in columns now. But if we wanted to add more to it, 2 and 4, we have to put it in a list, and then we could run it, and then it displays it in a data frame. So here's row 2 and row 4, and we can select rows by using the index location as well, and it's very similar to location, but now we put in I for location, and instead of using the labeled index, now we're going to use the index. So say like you don't know what the labels are for that index. So we can just go 0, 1, 2, 3. So let's put it in a list and call 0 and 2. So what this is going to give us is row 1 with 0, 1, and 2, and row 3. And there you have it, 1 and 3. We can select a specific data point or a specific subset by passing in our row and column. And we're going to use the location method, and we're going to go row 2 and we'll go column C. Let's wrap this in a print. We'll run it. And here it's given us row 2 with column C, and it's given us the full number. Now if you're working with large amounts of data, you can use these methods to generate a separate data frame, and you could give it a variable. So let's call it data, and location, and let's pass in a list for our rows. So we'll say 2, 3, and 4. And we're going to pass in our list of columns. We'll go B and D. Let's go ahead and print it out. And this is going to give us rows 2, 3, and 4 of columns B and D. So this is good like when you have large amounts of data and you only want to work with specific data within that data frame, and you could separate it and work with it a lot easier. So there's the broad overview and how to make data frames and series. I hope you like this video. Don't forget to subscribe and hit that like button. I'll keep these videos coming and you guys keep coding. Hope you like this video. If you have any recommendations for other coding lessons or have any questions, leave a comment. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button. If you like this video, hit that like button, and I'll see you guys on the next video.